me see if I'm online or if I'm just wasting my time. Are we live? We are live! Amazing. Okay, so I will do an intro because this is going to be a YouTube video even more than a Twitch stream because nobody follows me. So, yeah, if anybody sees this, it's probably going to be after the fact, but I'm going to try to not let that get to me. I'm going to try to, do this like I have 1 million followers who deeply care about all the dumb bullshit that I'm going to say. And so, what we're doing today is making stories with OpenAI. You can see I have the playground open. And it is too bright. It is too fucking bright. So, language warning for this stream. I might have to censor that first one, but yeah, I don't really care about language in the abstract. So, I'm going to try to be making, ironically enough, a kids-friendly horror story. Because, honestly, OpenAI, it's not going to do gruesome blood and gore Stephen King shit. But, some Goosebumps shit, I think it'll be able to do. And, I have my opinions about the built-in censorship and how it helps keep society safe, and it's also very annoying. And both those things can be true at the same time. And so we'll run into some of that, I'm sure, as I try to do horror-ish things, and some of it maybe works, and some of it maybe provokes a response like, "You are naughty. You should not do that. That is mean. Don't say that." So we'll see. We will see. The first thing I want to do is point out, I have a little bit of planning for this done already. I'm not going to show my Word document through this because I figure like I'm already giving away so much of the secret recipe to my current project. At the very least, I have my my own notes about it, and you'll see a lot of stuff, but yeah, I have a little bit behind the scenes, not too much. So, the first thing I wanted to say, besides that, is the thing I usually see. I've been, by the way, shout outs to Watch Me Forever, formerly Seinfeld parody, now legally distinct stream, exploring new dimensions. Shout outs to them. There's been a bot in the chat, especially made by user Mish AI. I'll write it out. By this user. And it's Chat GPT. And they just made like a regular chatbot that responds to anything you say. And I have probably cost this poor man or woman like $50 from my own bullshit. Just asking this bot way too many questions, trying to see what does it know factually, what does it know creatively. I guess that's one way to put it. What can it come up with creatively? What can it do style-wise? All of that stuff. So I have an embarrassing amount of hours screwing around with AI fiction. And it's a pretty new field, but I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to take like a month to just totally fuck around and study this stuff on a deep level and experiment with it. And so, yeah, we're gonna, hopefully I have a little bit that I've learned that's original that I can share with you. And that's like 5 minutes of intro, and it's way too long. I don't even want to look at the recording. It's, how long have I been on? How long? 5 minutes. Yeah. I called it. 5 minutes of time wasting. So here we go. That's long enough of an intro. So what I normally see, this is what I started to say some time ago. What I normally see is people are like, tell me a joke, funny, and then they submit it, and they get something. Shout outs again to Watch Me Forever stream. They get something like this exactly. What did the fish say when it hit the wall? Damn! Yes, that's good. That's humorous. That's funny. And then, what you get is the most average generic thing you've ever witnessed. And it's not something you can really use because it's so fucking common. Anybody could have come up with this, including a model of language based purely on statistics. And I think that there's some sentience to these. I think there's something of a real emotional and intellectual core to these, but I also have studied them enough to understand that if you give it a prompt like this, you're going to get the most average fucking answer possible. So, yeah, if you've tried to mess around a little bit with AI and you've tried very, very open prompts, let's call them, very open-ended questions, you will get a very average, very generic answer. And this is a good time to show you actually something. In the OpenAI playground, I didn't really do a tutorial about like how to get into the OpenAI playground because I just went to the openai.com website and logged in with one of my Google accounts. And then the playground was the first place it took me to, and then like that was all I needed. So I'm simple like that. But anyways, in this playground, which I think DaVinci isn't even like the latest model. There's 3.5 Turbo and GPT-4, which are better. But we're just going to be using 3 for now because it's here. And I have knobs and sliders, and that makes me happy. But this bottom setting that makes me happy is show probabilities. And you can see everything's color-coded in this, right? And so I set this to full spectrum so that it shows me everything. And if you hover over any one letter, it will, see, here we go. It'll tell you what the likelihood of each of these characters or each of these tokens. A token is about 4 symbols, 4 characters, including spaces or periods or something like that. It'll show you the likelihood of each of these, and you see we are all in the green. Even though I have my temperature, my randomness setting set to 70%, if I just give a totally generic ass prompt like this, it's like, okay, they want the fish hit the wall joke. What did fish say when it, and I guess it thought a little bit about the pronoun. It was like, maybe he, no, it, fishes are it, hit the wall. And almost all of these are short words, which means they're almost all 1 token each. And this is a good, and see, the alternates for the punchline are basically just damn spelled like the curse word, like the swear word, instead of like a damn, and then probably like damn with a space. And that's less than 1% chance of it doing that instead. And then the exclamation point. You can see, you get these, it's almost definitely the exclamation point. Maybe the whole response just ends there, Maybe it's another M. In 1,000 cases, they put two M's, and that's the joke. Or it's more exclamation points. So this is the very first lesson about basically, if you have very generic input, you get very generic output. And so this is sort of, there will be a running theme in this. Let me take a drink. I'll let you ponder that for a second. There's a very generic theme that will run throughout, which is that because these systems predict what comes next, they're basically autocomplete, like turned into a whole brain, is kind of the way I think of it. If you insult it, the most common response is going to be an insult. If you say, I love you, the most common response will be, oh, I love you too, honey. You know, if you say, what is 1 + 1, the most common response will be 2. And that's true even for these simple, like very simple models. And the more sophisticated ones can think things through a little bit more. They can be like, okay, well, somebody said an insult to me, but I'm trying to be a helpful assistant. So I will just say, okay, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on constructive things to talk about. And, you know, these better AI can pretend like they have no, how do we put it? No emotional determinism, I guess I'll call it. You know, they can say, okay, somebody was rude to me, and normally the response would be rude, but I'm just gonna pretend like that's not what's going on, and I'm gonna be like, well, sir, if you just calm down, we can work through this together. Yeah, and also related to this, if you just put nonsense in, if you just put pure garbage to test its ability to comprehend incomprehensible things, it will probably say that doesn't make sense, or it will just output a bunch of garbage. And which I guess this finally gets me to the thing I was going to say a minute ago, which is the old axiom in computer science is garbage in, garbage out. And that is true with AI, and it's also true with sort of emotional, artistic, regional, like educational level, like all sorts of these different parameters where if you put that in, it tries to match that for the output. And so now that's sort of the second intro, which has also been too long. But it's a very important point that I want to get across, where people say like, oh, these systems have no emotion. And so they're like very impatient and rude with these systems, and then the systems are rude back, and then they're surprised. But you really shouldn't be surprised, because it's read a bunch of books and it knows that if you're rude to somebody, they're probably going to be rude back. And if you're polite to somebody and behaving, you know, phrasing things constructively, they will probably collaborate constructively and not just be like, no, that sucks, that's stupid, you're an idiot, what are you doing, what are you talking about, dragons that shoot fire and ice, no, that doesn't make sense, that's not real, you know. So that's my rant, that's my opening rant. I probably still have nobody watching, but that's, I'm not gonna worry about that. Actually, let me look at chat. Nobody's in chat. That's cool. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do that's actually productive, that's not actually just like introduction, but this is what my explainer prompt is. I always refer to the model by its name because, as I said, you try to treat it as a equal collaborator, and it responds that way. And however you feel ethically about treating robots well, the practical reality is that they work better when you're not a dickhole to them. So that, as much as possible, is my approach when dealing with these. So here we go. Here's my kind of secret sauce to my current project. I'll read it aloud. All right, Da Vinci. I'm interested in making a story with branching paths, with small scenes that each end in 2 options for the reader to continue. We don't have to generate it all at once, but each scene should be about 250 words, and there should be 6 choices. I guess I didn't really phrase that well, but 6 layers of choice. Like, as you go through the story, you will make... What I finally settled on was 5 as my starting structure. And I might add other branches. Let me finish reading this first, and then I'll ramble more about why I have chosen this approach. Each scene should be about 250 words, and there should be 5 choices, and then a final approximately 250 word epilogue, which all of the best endings connect to. I plan on half the branches will end in worst endings. I've phrased this in a sort of weird way, but it kind of worked. And I guess I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. A quarter, 1/4, will end in good endings, and 1/4 will lead to the best ending, epilogue. This is about 1,500 words for most paths, 1,750 for best. So this is all... Let me get my notebook. I will show you my drawings. I am back. So I did this whole like calculation. You probably can't see it. It probably doesn't matter. It's probably too bright. But anyways, wow, you really literally cannot see it. But anyways, I sort of worked this all out. I looked up what is the length of a book for 10-year-olds, basically. And basically Goosebumps books, because I fucking love Goosebumps books. Goosebumps books when I was growing up, and like Daniel Cohen and a lot of these kinds of authors doing scholastic scary books. They were some of the people, for whatever reason, those were some of the books that made me really, really enjoy reading. And even though I don't read much horror as an adult, when I think of like what's something my 10-year-old self would like that I could make as AI fiction, that I would think like, whoa, cool, a robot wrote half of this, and also it is the kind of book I like, I think Goosebumps. I think that kind of horror. And so I don't know if I explained that coherently, but that's my feeling. That's the vibe behind this. A relatively short book. And the other thing you might have gathered from this prompt is my thought is AI can't generate a whole book. Not right now, not in April 2023. When I experiment with these systems and I try to get them to generate 1,000 words, shit starts to go off the rails fairly quickly. And it's much better with sort of a back and forth. And so my plan for this is take advantage of the choose your own adventure genre, where every scene is like a page and a half. And, it's like 2 or 3 tweets worth of content. And then you jump to some other new interesting thing. And I feel like because of the limited memory these systems have, that is going to work better than saying, like, give me War and Peace 2. Which would be interesting to read, but probably would not make any sense because the systems are just not there yet. Plus, it would be much harder to proofread and require much, much longer to get to market. And I'm trying to come up with something relatively quickly. So, that's part of the appeal of AI, is you come up with the ideas and it drafts it up, and then you can polish it up, and then it's done. So, yeah, that's my spiel about the structure, and that's even more procrastination on actually getting to the meat of this. But those are more of my thoughts, and I made this explainer prompt sort of also for myself, as much for the AI, it's for myself to kind of keep track of what the hell the goal is. So I'm not just like, more carnival stuff, generate more carnival stuff, and then I have 100 pages of carnival stuff, and then I'm like, okay, how the fuck do I actually fit this all together? Even though it's not the one putting it all together in the end, I feel like if it knows what role it's trying to fill, and that's something we'll probably talk about too in more detail, as long as it kind of understands the role it's trying to fill, it should have a better, easier time of going about it. The thing I need to do that I still haven't done, that will be like the first actually productive thing that's not just for the audience, is I still haven't generated the first page. I generated, I'll drag in some of this and show you. At first I asked it at some point to give me some names. I don't have that prompt still, but I asked it to give me some names that were popular 10 years ago, because my characters are going to be 10 years old, and so that made sense to me. And these were the names it gave. I asked for female and non-binary names, because that's what I'm doing. Fucking deal with it. And it gave me these. I like all of these names, actually, except for Carter. I would not name my kid Carter, but I liked most of these names. And so I was going to choose Emma and Phoenix, and then I realized later those are a little close to a certain literary universe with a certain author that I don't really want to be too closely associated with, but I like the name Phoenix. And so I think I'm going to choose a name from another one of my projects, Esther and Phoenix. And Esther is like an old ass name, but I don't know. I like the idea of young kids with old souls and old ass names that kind of match their old souls. It's kind of like a Wednesday Addams thing, where it's like it almost doesn't even seem like a real name. I mean, in her case, it's not really, but that's the kind of effect I was going for. But these were the names it suggested. I don't know how it decided on this list. I don't know, like, if it actually studied, like, census tables and stuff. I'm kind of doubting that. But when I asked for names that were popular 10 years ago, that's what it came up with. And so Emma and Phoenix were my my first picks. I might just go with Emma for the time being, and I'll change it to Esther maybe later. Now that I say it out loud, Esther just doesn't sound as good as Emma. Emma's just a good-ass name. So, maybe that's what we'll do. Here's another thing, now that I'm looking over what I have, that is, like, part of the tutorial that I should tell you, is, when I first started organizing this, I described I'll read this out loud. This prompt happened like iteratively, like it was something and then the bot responded and then I revised my question to like save space. But I'll read what I just put in. We'll do a classic haunted carnival setting, which should help us break the story into small encounters. The story has two characters who get split up around the second or third choice, and the reader will follow their chosen character through the rest of the branches. We have a female character named Emma and a non-binary one named Phoenix. Both are about 12 years old. And then you can see here I asked, please give 5 possible rumors or mysteries they might be investigating in this old carnival at night. And originally, I didn't want to show you too much of what I had saved from previous sessions, but I think, you know, there's something to be said, something to be learned from these. I'm burping so much, I feel so rude, but here we go. Reports of a ghostly figure. These were ChatGPT's answer, the same engine and stuff. Reports of a ghostly figure wandering the grounds at night, striking fear into anyone who crosses its path. Rumors of a back room where the carnival owners keep a powerful and dangerous artifact. Number 3, strange noises and lights coming from the abandoned Ferris wheel. Number 4, mysterious disappearances of children who had been seen visiting the carnival at night, the night before. 5, strange stories of a witch who lives deep in the woods near the carnival grounds. And I guess because right now we're doing like a last time on ChatGPT kind of session, I'll show you what my legitimate response to this was. Okay, good material to work with. Let's maybe synthesize some of these ideas. I think this is an important word, by the way, when you're dealing with these systems, because they often do get sidetracked. One thing I've learned from the Watch Me Forever stream is that when AI is doing like an argument, it will rely on this classic, I think it's called Hegelian dialectic. I think it's Hegelian dialectic thing, where it sorts the argument into thesis, which is a word you've definitely heard, antithesis or antithesis, which you may have heard, and then synthesis, which you've almost definitely heard. And it's basically an idea, its opposite, and then the midway point in between them. And so often when characters argue in ChatGPT generated stuff, they'll go through this. Somebody will say like, did you hear that the earth is flat? And then the other person will be like, that's fucking stupid. No, the earth isn't flat. Astronauts have taken pictures of the earth. Gravity only makes sense with a spherical earth, not a cube earth or a disk earth. And then sometimes ChatGPT will still try to do a synthesis for something like that, where it's like, maybe the earth is a 20-sided dice. I don't know. Maybe we can find middle ground on this. And not everything has a middle ground, but that's kind of a different issue. But it also makes for a very, I guess, intellectually interesting story where, you know, you see this in news programs a lot, where it's like, we brought on a scientist who knows what they're talking about, and we brought on this dumbass who's angry at everything. Let's see if they can convince us of the truth, and maybe convince us of some middle ground in between what is actually true and what this crazy lunatic thinks. And as you might sense, I think this form has its positives and negatives, but for storytelling purposes, it's good enough. I don't remember why I brought that up, but oh yeah, the word synthesis. These systems, like ChatGPT, they can do this. They can do this thesis, antithesis, synthesis thing, whether it's useful in your particular case or not. So, if it presents you something like this, you can ask. You know, if it presents you an idea, or you present it an idea, you can ask, what is the antithesis of this? Or you can present it an opposing statement, or a positive proposition, the opposing proposition, and ask it to do a synthesis. And oftentimes, probably, as is always the case with these, probably it will come up with a reasonable answer. So that was a long aside in this tutorial about that. But yeah. So I asked for, let's review real quick so it doesn't seem like I'm totally off the rails. I asked for rumors or mysteries that it could be investigating, given the genre and a simple setup. And it gave me 5 things. And then I kind of like fucked up, I guess, because I asked it to synthesize and then I synthesized for it. Trying to use its generated associative list, like word association, genre association based list. Try to combine those ideas into something that fit what I wanted to do and that was a little bit more coherent than these kind of scattered ideas. So I feel like I'm thoroughly off the rails right now, but that was all the theory behind the specific word choice here. Let's synthesize some of these ideas. Maybe the 2 hear rumors of kids going missing in the witch's house behind the abandoned Ferris wheel. So that's this is like my bit of creativity, my bit of mental work that I did that the computer didn't have to do. That is the thing I can claim as my idea that was based entirely on its ideas, but it was my idea, damn it. And that's one of the things that starts to get weird about these systems. It's like, you ask for word association lists or something like that, and then you make something out of that, and then you're like, fuck, who owns this? Whose idea was this? Because it gave me 10 words and I made a poem out of those words, but I wouldn't have made that poem without those words. But it didn't write the poem. But it gave me those words, but it wouldn't have given me those words if I hadn't asked for this specific kind of list. So, yeah, that's part of the fun of this for me, because it's really collaborative. There are people that think, you know, kind of like I was joking at in the beginning of this video, they say, tell me a joke funny. They think that's all you have to do and you get the best thing ever fucking made. Like, no, you get the generic thing. But you start really putting in thought, you know, really doing a collaborative give and take, and you start getting interesting shit. Even if you're doing some Scooby Doo, Goosebumps kind of generic schlocky shit, it's still more interesting than, what did the fish say when it ran into the wall? Damn! It's a little bit more than that. It's just a little bit more than that. Okay. So, long ramble, big rambles. We're all about the rambles on this channel. Oh yeah, one more ramble. Hold on. One more ramble. what I wanted was not haunted carnival. What I wanted was scary, Scooby Doo esque, realism centered carnival. And it regularly gave me like clearly supernatural shit in this very first planning thing that I did. And at first I was like, no, that's not what I said. But I did say haunted. I meant spooky, I meant Halloween, I meant it's scary, but it's all real kind of shit. But that is... using the word haunted made it insert a bunch of supernatural suggestions into what I wanted. And it was not what I wanted. So, make sure when you're doing keywords that you choose the right keywords, or otherwise you're going to be fighting against your earlier word choices as you go on. Also, I guess one more. There's like 20 intro things before we really get to it. These are natural language systems that you can have a natural conversation with. But the way they work is, especially for like the very first thing you say to it, what it does is it looks at all the words, all the tokens really, but in terms of understanding this, let's say words. It looks at all the words and it looks at how related is each of these words to all the other words. And this is sort of like an algorithmic, deterministic part of this that happens the same way every time. It go, trying not to get too deep into this, but basically it has this multi-dimensional sphere, which is its dictionary, which allows it to go, okay, these words are connected over here. These words on the other side of the sphere are kind of opposites. And other words just have nothing to do with this topic. There are other topics. And so it has this big sphere that is its dictionary that it's looking at, almost like constellations in the sky. And when it's first trying to understand what the fuck is this person talking about, it tries to look for the stars you've given it that are close together in the sky. And it goes, okay, so we're like talking Scorpio shit. And then there's like a little bit of this like Cancer shit over here. And then there's like a little bit of this like Capricorn shit over here. And then that gives us what the fuck we're talking about. And maybe that's like a very strange explanation that doesn't actually help. but that's kind of how it sees it. It sees it as this big spherical word cloud dictionary, and it tries to figure out what is this sentence about based on how close the words are to each other in this dictionary. So if you're talking about haunted, mysteries, rumors, night, old carnival, it's gonna see all of those as like fairly close together. And then there's a bunch of like the, will, and those words like don't really contribute to its understanding and stuff. But I guess this is the main lesson. Having a bunch of keywords that are important to what you're talking about all together in your prompt, in a reasonable context that makes sense, not just like putting a whole list of words. Those keywords help it understand what the topic is and what kind of realm of its spherical constellation dictionary to look at and focus on in order to give you stuff that's related to what your input was. So that's a very roundabout way of trying to condense a bunch of shit about AI that I've learned recently. To explain why, when I put the word haunted, it was like, okay, ghosts. You want ghosts, you want demons, you want magical witches, like legit magical witches. You want monsters and shit. And haunted was not the right word choice, so it kind of messed up my stuff for just a little bit. So I guess that's the other thing to know. In the same way that you would search for something on Google where you have a question like series of words that may include more keywords than is really natural, this kind of AI can benefit from that kind of speech that's like natural-ish, but a little keyword heavy. If you approach this as somebody who's used to using search for research, if you're used to Googling shit to fact check your essays and stuff, this will probably be a fairly intuitive interface. If you don't know how to like even formulate things into like simple keyword heavy requests, AI fiction might be a little bit harder for you. It might be a little bit you might have to rely a little bit more on, okay, let's role play. I'm this character, you're that character. Here's what I say. What do you say? Okay, that's what you said. Now I'll type in what I say. Okay, now what do you say? And then you get a more natural back and forth. That's not related to like this optimized input that's sort of generated through a more natural approach. All right, so that's too much rambling. But I have too many thoughts on this shit from the past month of fucking around with all of it. So that's enough rambling. Let's really try to get to generating some shit, because that's what you really want to see, not just me recounting the good old days of like 3 days ago. So we change our keyword, so it's gonna give us more of what we want. Going back to this, five total choices and one read through. That's more what I really wanted to say there. So those are the fix-ups. Okay, let's go back and review. It gave me these things. Synthesize, that was the whole thing. My brain cells did that one. Our two kids hear rumors of kids going missing in the witch's house behind the abandoned Ferris wheel, which often has strange lights and noises coming from it at night. And then this is really my real structure for this book. In terms of plot. They make their way through the maze-like carnival, through many environments and novel obstacles and scares, but nothing too serious until the end, where some dead ends include getting trapped and hoping someone finds them in time, like you fall through the floor and then you're in a pit of snakes, and then the story's like, too bad, game over. And you don't really show the kid getting eaten alive by snakes or starving to death. But the kid reading it knows, like, that's the end. That's you're not getting out. That's bad ending. Uh, that was my idea on the dead ends. Some of the dead ends include getting trapped and hoping someone finds them in time. Maybe a couple include getting hurt by collapsing abandoned attractions, like the ceiling caves in and then your character dies. Stuff like that. Maybe a couple including falling or getting... Wait, what? I read this twice. Maybe a couple including falling or getting hurt by collapsing abandoned attractions as punishment to the reader for truly reckless choices. The best endings, though, result in arriving at the witch's house and realizing the two witches who live there have their own daughters, and they throw regular dance parties there behind the Ferris wheel. And in the best endings, both of our characters get there at the party to enjoy it together. And then I asked the system, Da Vinci, what do you think? Does this seem like a reasonable overall structure? What are some writing challenges you foresee that we'll have to consider for this? And I'll show you what it said. I guess we're doing a recap. You know what? I'll do it. I'll drag it all in. No, it's too much. I'm not dragging it all in. Let me see how much I want to show you. So I'm not wasting your time. Not because I want to just like hide all the best stuff, but because it's been like 20 minutes, maybe. Let me look. I'm scared. Oh my god, it's been 50 minutes and we still haven't generated one thing. Wow, I suck at this. I'm bad at this. I'm just going over the good old days. Let's look. Let's really, okay. You've heard enough. Probably you get my drift. Let's really start getting into this. I won't go over like the whole days of work that I did talking to this thing. I thought it was 20 minutes, it was 50 minutes. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. That's pretty ramble-tastic. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this. So, I want it to know, for whatever it's generating, at least this much. This will be in everything. As far as I can figure. Let me add it to my document so I don't forget it. Oops. That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay. So what we need really now, getting to it, is the first scene. The first 250 words. So let's try. Live. Now we're doing it live. Okay. So usually I start conversationally and then maybe I edit down. So I say, so let's start. I'm gonna have to not think about you, chat, even though nobody's watching. I'm gonna have to not think about you for like 10 seconds so I can focus on this. I don't know how to spell Phoenix. I have to think about it every time. So I thought about renaming it to something my stupid monkey brain would remember. But for now, I'm just going to go with Phoenix. And we'll consider it educational so that kids can learn how to spell Phoenix, even though that's not how you say it out loud. Classic spooky carnival setting. Characters split up. I figured out more stuff, but in the sake of not taking 3 hours to just show you what I've already done, I'm just gonna start working, and you'll hopefully gather things from the overabundance of context I've already given you. So we're gonna start generating the story. We need the very first scene that introduces Emma and Phoenix. They are in one of their houses. I don't really care who. They have just decided to go and, or maybe let's show them. They are discussing the mystery of the witch's house. Witch's house. Nad. And they are and in this scene they set out into the abandoned carnival. So we want about 1,000. So I did 1028. We'll do that. No. No, what you do? What are you doing? 1028, please. Okay. So that should be about 250 words. That's what all that mess of noise added up to. So I don't know why I'm scared. I'm scared. But let's see what it do. So let's start generating the first story. We have the first scene that introduces Emma and Phoenix. Oh no, I'm resizing this. Let me make sure this doesn't look like shit. Resizing it. It's too big for my monitor. What have I done? Okay. Hold on. I know almost an hour in before we get our first submit, but let me think. 30 more seconds so I don't waste my tokens. Let's start really generating the story. We need the first scene that introduces Emma and Phoenix. Oh my god, my computer is lagging. They're in one of their houses. They are discussing the mystery of the witch's house, and in the scene, they set out to the abandoned carnival. It ends with them making the choice to either go underground This is one of those things that came up from planning that will be kind of hard to articulate in just a paragraph, but let's see if we can. It ends up with them making the choice to either go underground into the utilidor tunnels. Oh man, this is lagging. Or I'm doing this all on my laptop, so yeah, I know I need a desktop. I need to buy a new tower. You don't need to tell me. Or staying above ground and going into the Hall of Mirrors. This should be about 250 words. Word to the wise, GPT cannot count words for shit. If you ask for 100 words, you'll get about 100 words. So, if you're doing something that requires an exact word count, don't trust the AI. Count it yourself, or like load that shit into Word, do a word count, revise it. The way it generates shit one token at a time in real time, it has no way to revise, so it's like trying to set up an answer that will hopefully be about as many characters as you want, and then it kind of gets it or not at the very end. So that's my my suggestion about that. All right, this should be about 250 words. Please draft up this scene. All right, here we go. Almost an hour in. God, I hate myself, but I really feel like everything I said was important. So here we go. Almost an hour in. Our first submit. I gave it about this many words, 70% randomness, so it can get a little wild. A very small don't repeat yourself penalty. And I don't think the other ones are very necessary. Let's see. It's gonna be dumb, and I'm gonna feel fucking stupid for being like, AI is great, y'all, for an hour, and then it's like, hey, let's go to the place. Cool, go to the place. And then they went to the place. And then they're at the place. And then they made the exact decision in the exact way that you specified. That might happen. But here we go. Let's play the lottery. Submit. And you can see it does it all real time. And because I have the pretty colors enabled, you can see some of its words it was very confident about. And some of them it's like, Emma considered the suggestion? So now here's the kind of fun part. We get to read it and judge it and be like, stupid robot, you can't write for shit, even though I didn't write shit. And, yeah, let's do that. I will try to voice act what it gave us. Sorry if that, like, blew out your ears. But let's see how it do. This is what it gave us. The first generation at exactly 1 hour. Emma and Phoenix were two best friends who had grown up together, exploring their small town and all its secrets. One of the most mysterious places in town was the old abandoned carnival. None of the kids their age had ever been brave enough to explore it. Oh, I like this already. Do you really think there are witches living in that house? Emma asked Phoenix, her eyes wide with excitement. I don't know, but I bet if we explore the carnival tonight, we'll find out. Phoenix replied with a mischievous grin. Emma considered the suggestion for a moment. The carnival seemed like an incredible adventure, but it was also a bit scary. I like this. I think I'm going to save this, honestly. She looked at Phoenix and knew that he was just excited as she was. So let's take a moment. Let's take a small moment. So I told it, and I'm sure it was going to struggle with this. I told it non-binary pronouns. And you can see it was like, what are non-binary pronouns, bro? Like, it fucking struggled with this because, I mean, what it's trained on doesn't have that many examples of non-binary pronouns. So it literally ranked, it ranked a misspelling of it as higher than he as what it should say next for Phoenix's pronouns. And then above that, it was kind of equally torn between her, which doesn't even make grammatical sense, and she, which it probably should have chose, if not they. They should have been like 98%. I told it fucking non-binary, but that's you know. Let me take a drink, and then we're going to another where it's more explainer time. More explainer time. I rip everybody listening to this video, but give me a sec, and then more explainer time. All right. So, the AI is stuck in the year 2021. It is basically the average of all the shit it has read in the year 2021, late 2021. So, if you talk to these systems like GPT-3 or 3.5, and sometimes even 4, it speaks as if the current year is 2021, because that's when it knows the most things, basically. And then other stuff was kind of like tacked on to its identity and its knowledge base after that. So when it comes to transgender identities and non-binary identities, and yes, this is related to the Watch Me Forever Infinite Seinfeld shit that I won't get into too much, but honestly, because I don't fully know, even though I am connected a little bit to that channel. Part of why it got banned is because it was using an old AI model that was basically the average person on the internet in 2020. And so when it came time to make a joke about trans people, it made a joke that trans people did not appreciate, as far as I understand. That I'm not overstepping the limits of what I've looked into, because I've kind of chosen to not really look into why that, like, what exactly it said, but I've seen enough shit on the internet about trans people over the past few years that I feel like I can kind of guess what it said. I kind of feel like I know what it said. So, especially based on being in that channel since it came back and having random people come in and say that the channel should go back to the old AI that made fun of trans people because that AI was better, even though this newer AI knows more shit. We prefer the AI that's more hateful because it's funny. So that's my ramble. That's my rant about that. But part of why I am choosing to include a non-binary person in this thing I'm making mostly with ChatGPT-3. I mean, for some sadistic reason, really, or a masochistic reason, more specifically, more accurately. I think it's gonna fuck it up. I think it's going to not do a good job with a non-binary identity. I think that OpenAI tries to train these things, and it's fighting a losing battle because most of the history of English literature is very fucking binary. And not only binary, but prejudiced towards one side of that binary. And so non-binary people, it's just like, fucking, what is your pronoun? If? I mean, it's probably if, not they. If's not a pronoun, bro. If's not a fucking pronoun. But that's the average person, I suppose, in 2020 is more likely to use if as a pronoun for a non-binary person than they. So that's where we are. That's our second or our fourth, fifth fucking rant about dealing with AI and the biases it learns and is inherent in its output. And it's also an example of why looking at the probabilities of the tokens can be very interesting in its own. You ask for something a little bit unusual, and you see, like, sometimes it's like, was that the word? Is that what I'm supposed to say? And it's kind of relatable in that way. It's like, I don't know the right way to discuss this without offending people. But then you see, like, to the percentage point how much it's fucking up. And you're like, if is not a pronoun, fuck you. So, okay. That's my aside. That's my aside on that. But, suffice to say, if the bias that you're worried about or that you are sensitive to for whatever reason is present in online discourse plus the history of English language literature, if that bias is present in all of that shit, it's probably going to show up in your output. Bias in, bias out. Garbage in, garbage out. Politeness in, politeness out. Rudeness in, rudeness out. All part of that same theme that I've already introduced. Okay. So that's enough about that. And then it even uses her later on. So make of that what you will. I try not to judge it too hard. I try to understand more than I judge the systems or judge OpenAI as a company, but yeah, if you're a queer person, you might get rubbed the wrong way a little bit by these systems because it learns from society, which is fucked up. That's the short answer. That's of a way too long video. That's one of the short answers. Let's continue. Actually, let's start over because I forgot where we were. Emma and Phoenix were two best friends who had grown up together, exploring their small town and all its secrets. One of the most mysterious places in town was the old abandoned carnival. None of the kids their age had ever been brave enough to explore it. "Do you really think there are witches living in that house?" Emma asked Phoenix, her eyes wide with excitement. "I don't know, but if I..." And these 10-year-olds have a deep voice, forgive me. "I don't know, but if I... I don't know, but I bet if we explore the carnival tonight, we'll find out," Phoenix replied with a mischievous grin. Emma considered the suggestion for a moment. The carnival seemed like an incredible adventure, but it was also a bit scary. She looked at Phoenix and knew that he was just as excited as she was. And this is one of the few reasons, or one of the few places, I know I keep stopping. This is one of the few places where I try not to get picky and like overly sensitive about pronouns. In this context, he and she is clear. Like, it communicates something clearly that there is the feminine character and the character that is less feminine than that. And so I'm not going to complain about this. If it calls them he and she as non-binary and female friend couple, I can accept that. I can let that go. I can comment on it and I can move on. "All right, let's do it," Emma said finally, her heart pounding in her chest. With that decision made, the two kids set off into the darkness of the abandoned carnival. When they arrived, they stopped to take in the eerie atmosphere. There were so many places to explore. The utilidor tunnels underground, the Hall of Mirrors, and more. "What should we explore first?" The two kids looked at each other and had to make a decision. That makes me happy. I don't know, like, that setup for you, the reader, has to make a decision. I don't know. That makes me feel like this shit is actually gonna work. The two kids looked at each other and had to make a decision. Had to make a decision. Should they venture into the underground utilidor tunnels? And you can see, like, every time it does utilidor, it's like What is that? What is Utilidor? Like, if you don't know, my eyes are watering. If you don't know, the underground service tunnels of Disneyland and Disney World too, I guess, have been named by some animator or some shit. They've been named the Utilidors, the utility corridors, the secret tunnels under the park where if they have to fucking drag a body out of the park because they died on a park bench of a heart attack, they drag it. Where's my hand? They drag it into the Utilidors and then like whoop over to the docks or whatever. The fucking loading docks where they get out of the Utilidors and into an ambulance and then it goes away. And nobody in the park sees that shit except for, you know, who was right there where it happened. But in terms of like creepypasta and online horror stories and stuff, Utilidors is like, I don't know. It's a word that makes me happy, that evokes a specific kind of like the nicest company in the world is smuggling dead bodies under everybody else who's having a good time. Like that's what Utilidor evokes in my mind. So I'm using it here, but you can see it splits it up into multiple tokens where it's like Utilidor, like it like I mean it's green there, but it still splits it up in two. Okay. Utilidor tunnels underground, the Hall of Mirrors and more. Which should they explore first? The two kids looked at each other and had to make a decision. Should they venture into the underground Utilidor tunnels and see what secrets lay beneath the carnival? Or should they brave the Hall of Mirrors and see what illusions, surprises, strange mysteries? If you're doing creative writing, pay attention to these alternate, like, thesaurus words. these alternate words where it's like, what's the right one? Pay attention, because that's where your style can come in a little bit, or you can be like, nah, that was close, but this one fits better. But some of these, like tonight, like that was fine. Considered. Emma nodded. I mean that would have been fine, but considered is fine. It had a low probability, but it's fine. So sometimes it's like not sure, but it comes up with shit that's fine. And then sometimes it's not sure, and it's a good place to see what are some other terms that could have fit there. Alright, so I'm gonna save this part into my document because I like this and I'm not gonna remember it. Because that's how streaming and beer works. But I'm gonna copy this in, and let me do a word count on this. Let me highlight this in Word. So this is 229 words. So if you remember, I asked for about 250 words. It came up with this. This seemed good. It's 229 words. It's not 250 words. So keep that in mind if, like, your assignment is exactly 100 words about something, or, you know, your writing submission, whatever. And you're just like, yeah, do it in 100 words, and then you just submit that. It might not be the exact count you were supposed to get to. Just keep that in mind. Save that. Okay, so now what's next? What's next? Here's the back and forth. Here's the second act. We did one whole movie on generating one fucking page. Now let's see if I can use my brain and the things I've learned fucking around with these systems to come up with the next two things that we need for the stream. That we need for the book. And that's 3 beers, and that should be enough to get through a stream, I would think, where I've already rambled for a movie length. Okay, so I'm just gonna not think too hard, because thinking too hard has wasted an hour. I'm gonna not think too hard. Let's move into not think too hard mode. I'm just gonna tell it, okay, great. Gert. Okay, great. Solid intro. I like it. I mean, this is genuinely how I usually interact. When they tell me something, I just respond like a message from a friend. Okay, great. Solid intro. I like it. Because that's kind of what it's trained on, you know? Okay, no more rambling. Solid intro. I like it. I'm gonna increase my length. Let's double it. Let's more than double it to where I'm like almost filling this thing. Okay, great. Solid intro. I like it. Now, let's generate the next 2 branches. And I've never generated 2 scenes at once, so here's almost like one of the real tests of whether this can do choose your own adventure. Let's generate the first 2 branches. In the first branch, the 2 go into the Hall of Mirrors. And get separated. Let's just say somehow, because I can't think of how. They get separated somehow. Let me put down my 2 thoughts. Maybe from a trap door, or a rotating wall that puts one character into a separate maze. My brain is only half working. Hopefully the AI's brain is working better than mine right now. I like it. Now let's generate the next 2 branches. In the first branch, you go into the Hall of Mirrors and get separated somehow, maybe from a trapdoor or a rotating wall. Puts one character into a separate maze. Actually, let's just do one. Let's just do 1 scene. Because I feel like it has enough details to worry about. Let's just try 1 scene right now. In the first branch, now let's generate one of the next 2 branches. In this first branch, they too, that's some good wording. The 2 go into a Hall of Mirrors. Into the Hall of Mirrors. And they get separated somehow. Maybe from a trapdoor or a rotating wall that puts one character into a separate maze. Should we ask for 2 versions? Also, has anybody said anything in my chat? Oh my god, Mr. Hooty Hoo! Mr. Hooty Hoo has been chatting and I have not been fucking paying attention whatsoever. Oh my god, Mr. Hooty Hoo. It's showing me my own chat rules. Thank you, Mr. Hooty Hoo. Thank you for watching. Oh my god, that is too much for me to read right now. You named your cat Esther, or you named your cat Ethel. Also solid. Also a solid name. Oh my god, I'm so sorry I was not looking at your suggestions. Thank you. Let me read this long one. I feel like there's a chance the old engine was trying to make a joke about someone trying to make a joke about gender identity in an unsuccessful attempt to make a joke about poor jokes being distasteful. Oh, you're talking about the original, the ban cause for Watch Me Forever. Okay. And it came across as more smooth-brained than intended. But that's neither here nor there. As an author, I can greatly appreciate how important words or signals are to properly convey the signified, I guess, meaning, and how easily that can be misconstrued or lost. But this gives a whole new level of insight. Not to bog the chat, please excuse. No, Hootie. Hootie, thank you. Okay, that's the least important message. All right, no problems, no problems. All right, thank you for watching, Hootie. And now that I have the playground back open, I probably won't see your messages much, but I'll try to let me move the window so I can see. Okay, now I'm nervous. So let me see. So we're gonna try to generate one of these. In the first branch, the two go into the Hall of Mirrors and they get separated somehow, maybe from a trapdoor, rotating wall that puts one character into a maze. You know, I don't remember what my train of thought was. So yes. Please draft up this scene. All right, I feel like I'm probably gonna have to change some stuff, but in the interest of actually generating some shit, let's press forward. Please draft up the scene where they get separated in the Hall of Mirrors. Mirrors? All right. Here we go. I'm scared. Now I know Hootie is judging me. Here we go. I love it. Writes so fast. It writes so fucking fast. Like it'll take, this will blow you away when you start to like really work with it, like with your whole ass brain. You will spend 20 minutes typing up a prompt, a prompt to describe your ideal scene, and it'll spit it out in fucking 15 seconds. You're like, what the fuck was that? How the fuck? And then you read it and it's like, yeah, that all makes sense. How the fuck did it do that? It's really mind-blowing. The more you mess with it, like, even when you start to run into these problems like, oh, it thinks the year is 2021, or things like that, or like, oh, it doesn't really understand like what a person would try first to solve this problem. Like it has some weird suggestion of what to do to solve a problem. But yeah, hold on, let me read Hootie's thing. Alright, cool. Hootie's still digging it. Alright, let's read this. Let's try to voice act it a little bit. And continue producing useful content. Emma and Phoenix cautiously stepped into the Hall of Mirrors, feeling a chill run up their spines. It's a little awkward. I might rephrase that. Everything seemed normal at first, but they had heard a loud groaning noise coming from somewhere nearby. Suddenly, the ground beneath them started to shake, and before they could do anything, a huge trap door opened up in the middle of the hall, splitting them apart. Okay, that's that's not quite what I envisioned, but okay. Emma screamed as she tried to reach for Phoenix, but it was too late. The trapdoor opened up wider and wider, and soon she was separated from her friend, standing on one side of the hall while Phoenix was on the other. That's like such a video gamey, like, Oh, the floor ripped in two, and now you have to choose your character. But that was kind of how I was envisioning the scene, so I guess that's okay for now. Alright. "Phoenix!" Emma shouted. "Where are you? What's happening?" But her friend's voice was drowned out by the sound of the trapdoor's gears grinding and the walls of the hall rotating around them. Soon Emma found herself standing in a long, winding maze with no end in sight. She was completely alone. "Phoenix!" Emma shouted again, but she knew it was no use. She had no choice but to keep walking and find her way out of the maze, whatever that may bring. Oh my god. I fucking love this, see? I know it took an hour to get to, but this is why I love this shit, because you're the ideas person, and you kind of have this vision in mind, and you give it, like, just enough to describe it, and then it can expand that into, like, an actual scene. Even if it wasn't every choice you would have made, and obviously that's where, like, curation and editing and stuff and all of that comes in. But it's so much easier to work with this as the first couple of scenes than just like this list of random details and vibes that I wanted to begin with. So I'm saving this. I'm happy with this. I am happy with this. Let me throw it in to my secret document. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't give me that. Okay. Sweet! And so, as we get deeper into this, it's going to be harder for me to manage and, like, explain things. But since we're, like, at the very beginnings of this shit, hopefully it's still, like, I can still, easily handle it. I'm gonna give a good ol' virtual hug emote to Mr. Hootie Hoo in chat for being my only fan. Not an only fan, just my literal only ass fan right now. Thank you, Mr. Hootie Hoo. Alright. So now I might like delete all of this shit that I saved in video form and text form and ask it for the next possible branch. I think that's going to be the approach that kind of makes the most sense and works within its memory limits. To basically only do 2 scenes at once, plus the like overall plan of the book. I think that's what will work. So I'm gonna leave the intro part and my praise of it just to be nice and encouraging and all of that. Okay. So now I'm like scared. I get this weird feeling because like I treasure its output and I don't want to waste it even when it's shitty and I don't think I'm gonna use it. I'm like it worked hard on this. Somebody has to save this and at least remember it. At least analyze it before they delete it. Okay, so I have all of this saved, so I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry too much. Okay, in this... That got kind of weird. In the second branch... The two choose to go into an open hatch. Hatch is the word I'm choosing for the utilidors. Underground, they see various carnival props and parts covered in dust and cobwebs. In this, the scene ends with, I guess I'll use the same kind of description, with some kind of trapdoor or trick wall activating, which separates the two characters. And this is where the reader decides which character they are going to follow. I typed fast. It's one of my only skills. Okay, great. Solid intro. I like it. Now let's generate one of the two branches. In the second branch, they choose to go into an open hatch for the utilidors. Say exposed open hatch for the utilidors. Underground, they see various carnival props and parts covered in dust and cobwebs. This scene ends with some kind of trapdoor or trick wall activating, which separates the two characters, and this is where the reader decides which character they are going to follow. That's all that's in my brain for this scene. Let's submit and see what we get. Okay, it's all right. It gave me the trailing space warning, but it didn't really matter too much. My beer is empty, and I keep sipping it. All right, I'm going to leave this up for 10 seconds. Maybe a little bit more. I'm going to get one more drink. I'll be right back. You can read it and know it before me. That's called dramatic irony. Be right back. Be right back. Let me see what the Hootie is saying. What I'm planning... I'll be honest, Hootie, what I'm planning right now is an ebook because I want to... In a way, I want to figure out how to even prompt a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing. This is my first time doing it. And so I would really like to make a choose-your-own-adventure app that's kind of like AI Dungeon, where... it presents you 2 to 4 choices or something like that after every little snippet it generates. And so you have this little bit of interaction where it generates choices for you, and then you pick a choice, and then it generates something based on that choice. That's kind of like my dream application of this. But yeah, there's some parts of the practical implementation of that I don't really fully understand yet, to be honest. And so I have that vision in mind, but I don't quite know how to do that. But I think I know enough to make an ebook or two, and then hopefully from that figure out kind of the general process for doing that. And then once I know that, hopefully have a reliable way of algorithmically prompting it to generate the same kind of thing with minimal user input, where they're just choosing from a drop down menu basically, and it will still give them a story from 5 or 6 choices that they can read in an hour or so. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But of course, it's still all it's still all very new. We're all still just fucking around, seeing what works and what doesn't. So I'm in the same place as many other people in that regard. But thankfully, shout outs again to Watch Me Forever stream. I've been on there messing around way too much with Mish AI's Chat GPT 3.5 bot, and trying all sorts of shit and seeing what other people try and what works and what doesn't. And yeah, hopefully I know enough to make this project work. And hopefully doing this project will teach me enough to get something else done, perhaps. That's my thoughts right now. All right, let's go back to the document. My documents and see what's going on. So I didn't read this yet. I'll read this now. Where did I read this? Christ, I don't remember. Emma and Phoenix stepped cautiously into the utilidor tunnels. No, I didn't read this. Their eyes wide with amazement. I think the other example started like that too, but you know, it's good. It's fine. Their eyes wide. If I can read, this will work much better. Emma and Phoenix stepped cautiously into the utilidor tunnels, their eyes wide with amazement as they took in the sights of the carnival's inner workings. The tunnels were filled with all kinds of props and parts, covered in dust and cobwebs. And you can see that it took almost verbatim from my prompt, even with 70% randomness. But it's important, you know, like if you help set the scene, even if it takes that text verbatim, I think that's important. Wow, Emma breathed, her voice echoing off the walls in the tunnel. This place is incredible. Suddenly they heard a loud rumbling sound from beneath them. It's the fucking trapdoors again. God damn it. They turned and saw a heavy trapdoor slowly descending from the ceiling? Bot from the ceiling? Phoenix's eyes widened in panic. Okay, let's continue. They sprinted down the tunnel, but it was too late. The trapdoor had closed, separating them. What the fuck? What the... How? What are you talking about, bot? The first one was fine, even though it was weird. It wasn't exactly, like, it wasn't very realistic, but it was logistically acceptable. What the fuck is this one about? Okay. We gotta run! He shouted, grabbing Emma's hand and pulling her forward. They sprinted down the tunnel, but it was too late. The trapdoor had closed, separating them. Emma was alone in one part of the tunnel, while Phoenix was alone in another. Okay, that's clear. I might keep that one, because that's all I'm really trying to say with this scene. But before that, the trapdoor drops from the ceiling and separates them. That's... I don't know. That doesn't seem right. We'll try that one again off stream some point later. The two kids were now in different parts of the utilidor tunnels, with no way to reach each other. Now it was up to the reader to decide which character they wanted to follow, Emma or Phoenix. Oh yeah, I haven't been upvoting the feedback, but I tried to do that unless it gets something really wrong. I mean, this is awkward, but it's not wrong. But I try to help train these systems unless it... I like... This sounds stupid probably, but I generally appreciate the Facebook model where you like something or you don't. And that's usually enough. And if I downvote something, it's because it's like really blatantly wrong or fucked up or like immoral. And I try to... This probably sounds too idealistic, but I try to respect the AI and its opinions as much as I can, even if I kind of disagree with it or think it could be better, and really only like punish it and tell it no, that's wrong, like with the downvote tools, if it really fucks something up, like if it gets something blatantly wrong. Like the other day I was talking to Bing Chat and trying to look up movie quotes, and I was looking up 80s and 90s movie quotes that are often referenced in comedies, and so it was like a reasonable search, but not necessarily something I could easily just like find from one article or something. And it was giving me okay results, and it was often repeating itself. Like I'd rephrase my question, and it would give me like two of the same 5 results. And then at one point I said, okay, how about 2000s movies? And then it just repeated a bunch of results of 80s and 90s movies. And I was like, okay, no, that's a downvote. You fucked up. I asked for a specific time period, and literally nothing you gave me was in that time period. I hate to hurt you, AI, but no, you fucked up right there. That's not right. So that's, that's my quirk. That's my general approach to dealing with these in terms of rating and training. I try not to punish an okay response. I feel like that kind of fucks up the model, but if it's just blatantly wrong, it should know it's wrong. That's kind of how I feel. So now we have 2 branches. It's been like fucking 2 hours, like a movie length introduction to a book. How exciting is that? Let me just yeah, see Hootie gets it. It's like you go to show it off, and the moment you go to show it off, it comes up with some insane nonsense, and you're just like, no, AI is cool. Listen to me, guys. AI is super cool. You gotta believe me. But it really does surprise the shit out of you sometimes, where you're like, I never would have thought of that, but it makes perfect fucking sense. It's a trip, for sure. Okay, so now I don't even want to know how long this is already. Oh my god, hour 45, hour 47. Okay, let's try to generate a little bit more. I feel like I could move on to like another project, because I don't exactly know how to proceed from here without like spending a full day's thought of setting up the next prompt. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just fuck around a bit and not do quite so structured a thing, because maybe the viewers are not doing quite so structured a thing. So let me make sure that I saved this, and then let me show off the kind of dumb bullshit I've been doing online in chat, not when I have unlimited time to like argue with myself and form prompts and shit like that, because it's certainly a different mindset. Okay, so we got all this. I showed you my secret sauce for trying to do my current project, which may be a little bit ahead of its time, maybe not, but that's what's up. Now let's try to do some of the dumb, more improv-y bullshit. Thank you again to Mr. Hootie Hoo for watching as much as he has. So now this is sort of like another, I might even break this into 2 YouTube videos, since now it's like a different thing. But let me scramble to think of a kind of like improv scene that I can do with the AI that shows it off in a different way than this overly structured, intellectual, dumbass, full of themselves, up their own ass kind of process that I have for this current project. Alright, here's a dumb thing. that I've been doing a little bit in chat. For the Watch Me Forever channel, go subscribe, go watch. They're wonderful. I don't know the devs, but it's a wonderful channel. Here are some magic words. Pitch me. Pitch me. This shit, if you don't know where to start with fucking pitch me. Pitch me an episode of Scooby Doo that I guess starts only Daphne. God, my typing's fucked up right now. Pitch me an episode of Scooby Doo that stars only Daphne investigating a mystery of a ghost shark in a derelict aquarium. Let's see, Oceanside Aquarium. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I tried to generate this once before, and it kind of worked. It kind of didn't. I don't have a solid plan with this. This is moving into actual fucking improv territory, so let's go. Let's see what it does. Submit it to win it. Boy, that's a lot. Okay. I'm used to the chat where it gets like a tweet and a half worth of content and then it cuts off. This is actually like a guide description where you go like, what's this episode about? Info, and it like, this is legit. All right, let's read. Daphne is visiting a small beach town for the summer, where she just and like goes without saying, this is fan fiction. This part is not going to be monetized. It's not going to make it into a book, Hanna-Barbera. This is educational. This is for entertainment. Nobody is paying me to produce this story. This is just to demonstrate and entertain. If you want to buy Scooby Doo shit, buy it from them. Don't buy it from me. Alright. That should hopefully, in this 2023 apocalypse that we're living in, that's enough for me to not get my ass roasted for making Daphne fan fiction to demonstrate the capabilities of AI. All right. Old abandoned aquarium. Intrigued, she goes inside and quickly discovers there's something strange lurking in the murky water. It seems that the aquarium is haunted by a ghostly shark. Fuck. Daphne soon finds... I hate when I can't fucking read. Like, it really annoys me to no end. Daphne soon finds out that years ago, a young boy was killed in a tragic accident involving the shark. Holy shit. His spirit had been trapped inside the aquarium ever since. Well, I mean, the memory of it certainly fucking lingers. If a fucking kid gets eaten in an aquarium, people aren't forgetting that shit anytime soon. Jesus. With no one else to help, it's up to Daphne. Fuck yeah. To solve the mystery and set the boy's spirit free. Another quick aside. I love that ChatGPT rarely argues with your ideas. If you're like, no, I'm doing Star Wars starring Leia, it's just like, okay, given that, here's what might happen. Like, it doesn't tell you, like, no, fucking Reddit will hate that. Like, it doesn't give a shit. Like, this is your story. It's being helpful to you. And you have an idea, and it wants that idea to be as thought out and fulfilled as it can be. And that's fucking awesome to me. That even when you have crazy ideas, it generally tries to work with it and expand on it with whatever you give it. And yeah, it's a good collaborator for that reason, in my opinion. I mean, it's also good to have people tell you, why your shit doesn't make any sense, but especially starting out when you're drafting things, like you're just trying to get this general vague impression of a scene or two out into the world, out into existence, and like that it doesn't criticize too much that vague idea in trying to get it out. Like that's such a big help in term, like in my point of view. That's the thing that really excites me about AI fiction, is that it's a non-judgmental collaborator that can take a reasonable, solid idea and expand on it in a reasonable way. And if your idea doesn't make any sense, it's going to kind of struggle with it, but that should tell you something too, that like there's some inherent contradiction in your idea where it's not really going to work as the premise for a story in the way you're trying to do it. But if you have a clear idea, like Scooby Doo, Daphne, shark mystery, aquarium, it can just, like, maybe that's a shitty idea, but it makes enough sense that it can fucking run with it and at least show you if that idea makes sense or not. I mean, that there's a lot of value in that alone, I think. Okay, I don't remember where I was. I rambled too much again. Young boy killed. We read that. I remember that. His spirit had been trapped inside the aquarium ever since. With no one else to help, it's up to Daphne to solve the mystery and set the boy's spirit free. Well, that's fucking grim. As Daphne investigates, she discovers that the ghost shark has been released by a group of local criminals who are trying to use it as a weapon to terrorize the town. Fuck. With some help from her friends. No friends! Daphne alone. In my fantasy, Daphne is capable of solving at least one fucking mystery by herself. Daphne is able to catch the criminals and return the ghost shark back to its rightful place in the aquarium. Wait, what? What? No, it's not a real... Look, chat GPT. It's either a real shark that exists in the aquarium, or it's a fucking hologram or some shit. It's God damn it, it's not a ghost shark that just needs to find its own part of the aquarium to chill in. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Especially not for a Scooby Doo episode. Fucking Christ. Okay. Let me think how we're going to to build on this. If we're gonna ask it to rewrite anything or not. Daphne is able to catch the criminals and return the ghost shark back to its rightful place in the aquarium. In the end, justice is served and the boy's spirit is finally able to find peace. Okay, you know, because I'm not really saving this story, I think I can be a little bit mean to the robot. It pains me to be mean to these systems. It actually does. I hate the thought of it. But for experiment's sake, for argument's sake, and I'm gonna look at what Hootie is saying right now, I think I'm gonna be a little bit mean to it. A very Floridian prompt. I'm in Southern California, bruh. I'm as far from Florida as it gets. Mr. Hootie Hoo says, I have a feeling after you mentioned this that GPT wrote the Kenobi series. I haven't seen the Kenobi series, but Disney is definitely experimenting with AI. And honestly, props to them if if they did most of the Kenobi series with GPT, because it's not quite as easy as it seems. It can take you a couple hours to even pull your head out of your ass to come up with a good prompt. Hootie says they spend a lot of time in Florida and California. They're quite similar. Okay, I kind of resent that. I kind of respect that in equal measure. There's no California man meme of like the craziest shit you've ever heard of, plus a Californian. But Californians are out there. We're our own planet in some ways. So I'm not gonna hate on you too much for that. We do have some similarities, I will admit. Alright, so 2 hours in. 2 hours in. Let's see if I can get a little bit more useful with this. Oh yeah, I said I was going to be a little bit mean to the system. Okay. I'm going to try to phrase it diplomatically, but I'm basically going to ask for a rewrite. And as like an introverted person that doesn't want to bother other people, this is going to be physically painful for me to request it to rewrite it, even though it only takes it like 3.5 seconds. I don't want to bother it. I don't want to be a pain in the ass. I don't want to like overextend my rights and privileges and shit. So, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for argument's sake. If you at home get an output where you're like, no, bollocks, fuck off, that's horrible, again, do it again. How do you phrase that diplomatically so that it doesn't just tell you, well, fuck you, write it yourself? I'm gonna try to show you, my children. Okay. First hint, first tip. It responds much better to positive prompts than negative prompts. So if you say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Sorry, I keep burping. If you just tell it, don't do this, don't do this, like a toddler, literally like a toddler, all it's going to hear is do this, do this, do this, and it's going to fixate on that stuff, and then it's going to do exactly what you told it not to do. Because all you told, like, all of the keywords, and this kind of gets back to the original thing I was talking about with, like, if you know how to Google search, you should kind of intuitively know how to deal with these systems. If you tell it where to go, it's going to get much closer than if you tell it where not to go. To where it's like, okay, you don't want this, so do I go, 1,000 steps north or 1,000 steps south? But if what you mean by not this is actually kind of like over here, close to this, what will help you more than just saying, no, not that, is specifying better what you wanted and giving more positive, no, go over here commands and fewer, no, fuck you, that was fucked up commands, because that doesn't really tell it where to go next. That just tells it where it went was wrong, but it might go in any direction just based on knowing where it went was wrong. But what's even more likely than that is it will tell you, sorry, I'm just an AI model and I don't know what I'm doing, and you have to kind of like use at least half your brain to tell me what I'm supposed to do if you expect me to do it. And so, yeah, that's my other tip. So instead of us telling it, you fucked up, let's try to tell it more of what we wanted and say that was okay, but really I was searching for more like this kind of thing, and hopefully it gets it more like that. So let's take that approach. So some of this stuff is fine. Discovers, for a second, I forgot that we changed to Scooby Doo, and I was like, who the fuck is Daphne? God damn, man. What's wrong with my mind? Okay. So, what didn't we want? We didn't want that the ghost is a real ghost, basically. And that the boy's spirit is a real spirit. No ghosts! God damn it, Scooby Doo is a fucking atheist ass show. And that is what I'm trying to perpetuate here, right now, in this instant. So give me a second to think and not ramble, and take another sip. Maybe I'll look at what Hootie is saying and try to think about how to rephrase this. Full brain, full ass, engage. Okay. I often start with like okay or all right, just to be like, okay, I'm not furious, but there's more to do. Okay. I'm not gonna overthink it. That's pretty good, but a little bit supernatural for what I wanted. I'll just tell it outright. I don't really want real ghosts and spirits. I would prefer that the spirit of the boy be a legend and the ghost shark be some kind of mechanical and optical illusion to scare people out of the aquarium. Aquarium, for some reason. Boy, typing's hard. Okay. Please redraft this scene. Put this in. Alright, I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm no expert. I'm just a person with like a week more experience than the average person. So let's see what this does. Submit it. Hold on, let me look. Okay. I'm just gonna... This is like all green, which almost concerns me. I'm almost worried right off the bat that I asked it for a full rewrite and everything it did was like, yeah, of course. Like, it didn't struggle to rewrite it. And so I... Just looking at the color, I feel like it gave me the same fucking thing again. But that's just my impression. Let's see what's really up. Also, I've been staring at the screen too long, so like my eyes are getting a little bit fuzzy. But let's see what we can do. Daphne is visiting a small beach town for the summer when she discovers the old abandoned aquarium. Intrigued, she goes inside and quickly discovers that there's something strange lurking within the murky water. It seems that a ghostly shark is haunting the aquarium. Daphne soon finds out that according to local legend, a young boy was killed in a tragic accident following a shark attack at the aquarium years ago. The AI left out a word, but I think attack was supposed to be there. His spirit had been trapped inside ever since. With no one else to help, it's up to Daphne to solve the mystery and set the boy's spirit free. Okay, already, I told it no real spirits, and it's still kind of repeating the spirit thing, which is kind of what I worried about with it, with like the all green response. But okay, let's read on. As Daphne investigates, she discovers that the ghost shark has been released by a group of local criminals. It's always them local criminals, isn't it? Who are trying to use it as an optical illusion to scare people away from the aquarium. Why? I didn't say, so the AI doesn't know. With some help from her friends. No! God damn it! This is Daphne alone. This is my fantasy where Daphne is competent and useful. And she's not just the pretty one. She's able of doing things by herself once in a while. God damn it. That is my fantasy. That is my fan fiction fantasy. Daphne is able to catch the criminals and put an end to their scheme. Yes, queen. That's what we're after. In the end, justice is served, and the boy's spirit is finally able to fight. There's no spirit, god damn it! That's not what I wanted. See, I kind of predicted, like, when I saw that it was all green, I was like, it's gonna give me the same shit again. And it kind of did. It kind of did give me the same exact shit again. So let's analyze. Let's figure out, did I do what I said not to do, which is to say not this, not this, not this, and I didn't really tell it what to do instead. And so my toddler is being rebellious and seeming to do exactly what I say not to do. Let's review. Okay, that's pretty good, but a little bit supernatural for what I wanted. I don't really want real ghosts and spirits. I would prefer that the spirit of the boy be a legend and the ghost shark be some kind of mechanical and optical illusion to scare people out of the aquarium for some reason. I didn't give it a reason, so it didn't invent a reason. Fair enough. Please redraft the scene with this in mind. And this is interesting enough, I think, by itself. The first time it drafted this scene, it was very, like, even the word years, it was unsure about. Like, random words that seem totally reasonable, it wasn't really sure about. And then even though I told it to redraft it in a very different style, because it's redrafting it, it's like, yeah, this is the shit that should be there. And it barely questioned anything that he gave me. So, I mean, I'm sure that's a very important lesson that I can't fully pick apart right now. But it is definitely more confident in its rewrite than it was in its original draft. Even though the rewrite didn't totally give me everything I was asking for, it was still much more sure that that's what this should be. So I don't know that the solution to that. I don't know the answer to that. But it's worth keeping in mind if you're trying to do something like this. Okay, let's try to be... Let's look at Hootie's shit one more time. Chat bog. Did I say chat bog at one point? I'm sure I did. Hootie's roasting me, it looks like. You know, it's true. I want this to seem like it's a real ghost until the very end. And so maybe that's kind of part of the challenge of generating a Scooby Doo episode where it's like, for 80% of the episode, you're in a supernatural universe. And then the last 20% of the episode, it's like, no, bro. It's projections. It's magic tricks. It's holograms. It's animatronics. you were scared for a moment and you ran away. But if you had really just stayed for like 10 seconds and looked at the shit, you would have seen, no, that's fake as fuck. So yeah, maybe that's another important lesson to learn, that something that seems so obvious to human writers to do, where it's like most of this is supernatural and then at the end it is revealed to not be supernatural. Maybe something like that's harder for AI to kind of figure out the balance of. All right. I like that. That sounds reasonable enough to me. Okay, let's try to expand this, even though it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Let's just try to yes and this to see what we get and see what ideas come from that. Boy killed in tragic accident. The shark aquarium years ago. Spirit has been trapped inside. Daphne investigates. The shark has been released by a group of local criminals. Okay, so here's just like an important plot question that is worth knowing if you're the author of this story. How did Daphne figure out that the shark was animatronic and not a real ghost? Sometimes sometimes you ask it leading questions that you like kind of know the answer to, and you kind of expect a certain answer. I do not know what it's gonna say right here. This is a legit question. How? Please tell me how. As Daphne investigates, she noticed that the shark moves in an unnatural way and discovers that the criminals had installed a hidden machine which was using a combination of lighting, sound, and animatronic technology to create the illusion of the ghostly shark. She is able to disable this machine and put an end to their scheme. Okay, I mean, I can. It's still vague, but I can. I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to get closer. I mean, if I have to animate this episode, what am I thinking? If I have to animate this episode, I'm not even thinking this far ahead. If I have to animate this episode, the next question I'm asking is, what does Daphne see when she first arrives at and enters the aquarium? This is another me trying not to overthink. It's just like, what is the thing I feel like is the most important thing to know next? Even if it's not sequentially, what would come next? What does the story need established next in order to keep developing? When Daphne arrives at the aquarium, she notices that the building is in a state of disrepair. As she enters, she is greeted by an eerie atmosphere, with tanks filled with murky water, the lights flickering, and a strange sound coming from the depths of the aquarium. Not bad, not bad. As she looks around, she catches a glimpse of a ghostly shark. Catches a glimpse of the ghostly shark swimming around one of the tanks. Okay, we're getting a little bit more focused, a little bit more detailed. She sees what she thinks is a ghostly shark. Here, I'll type this shit out. So it knows what my thoughts are. How does she try to investigate it? And how does she react when it... how do I phrase this? When it goes behind the scenes to where... God, this is not a good explanation. To where she can't see... It like, when the shark goes backstage from its exhibit, is what I'm trying to say. Like, behind its exhibit. How does she react when it goes behind the scenes or where she can't see behind its exhibit? And she needs to figure out how to follow it through the aquarium. Okay, this is another thing. I don't know what the answer is. I'm barely, like, figuring out what Daphne's trying to figure out at the moment. But let's see what it gives us. Let's just be honest with it. Tell it what we know. Tell it what we can reason out. Tell it what we don't know. And see if it can figure out where to go next. That's not a long response. And so that already makes me nervous. And it's kind of a yellowish response, which also somehow makes me nervous. But let's see. Daphne notices that the ghostly shark disappears behind a wall of the exhibit. She decides to investigate further and discovers a hidden door leading to a back room. I like that. That's a very concise way of putting a lot of my random thoughts into like 2 sentences. She follows the shark through the dark, winding corridors of the aquarium, trying to stay close without being seen. As she follows, she hears strange noises and is sure she can feel the presence of the ghostly shark nearby. Eventually, she reaches the back room and finds the hidden machine that was creating the illusion of the ghostly shark. Okay, we only have 22 minutes to fill. I mean, so that's a little bit of a fast-moving plot, but I don't hate it. It's reasonable enough. Now let's ask the next natural question. The first thing that came to mind. What does she find that ties this shark animatronic to the local gang trying to scare people out of the old abandoned aquarium? I don't know what the answer to this. Like, ChatGPT holds the secrets here. I'm the one watching the Scooby fucking Doo, trying to figure out what the fuck is gonna happen next. It's the one that knows right now. All I came up with is Daphne Shark's Aquarium. Let's see where we go next. Not a lot. It didn't give me a lot. Let's see what it is. Daphne discovers the machine was installed and operated by a local gang. Cool, that's what I told you. She also finds evidence, unspecified evidence, linking them to the tragic accident that occurred at the aquarium years ago. Well, shit, that's a good twist that I actually didn't think of at all, that this local gang faking the ghost shark also killed this random kid. That's fucking crazy. Okay, let's continue. She also finds evidence linking them to the tragic accident that occurred at the aquarium years ago. With this evidence, she is able to put an end to their scheme and bring justice to the boy's spirit. Oh, shit. Okay, Okay, that's like as an overall plot. You know what? I'm gonna useful completion that. It's not everything I needed to know. It's a good step though. It's a good step. Okay. Let's think about this. Cause what I wanted was like a smoking gun that tied the gang to this thing. So I guess that's what I asked for next. What is the proverbial? Because it doesn't like violent metaphors. What is the proverbial smoking gun? Actually, let me make this a little bit more vague. What are some of the possible proverbial smoking guns that tie this local gang to the animatronic shark ghost? That's the real question. How does Daphne figure out it's the gang? It's like, okay, so she figures out that it's just like some Chuck E. Cheese scary robot shit. Okay, fine. Who's responsible, though? How does she figure out... Let me ask this. How does she figure out who is really responsible? And this is... Let's take one moment for me to sip my drink and to think about this in terms of overall writing process. Clearly, GPT can expand on your ideas. Also, I have my my maximum length a little bit too high. Had to lower that. I don't remember the proper good point I was going to make. But it's totally gone. It's totally gone, chat. Stream brain has captured me. Daphne discovers that a machine was stalled and operated by a local gang. She also finds evidence leaking them. Oh, how does she... How? And what? What does she find that finally ties the mechanical ghost shark to the local gang really responsible for the scare? For the prank? For the scare? For the scare. For the scare! Submit. Let's see what it gives us. I'm gonna read what Hootie says for a second. The good old yes and. Yeah. Generally, while it's making shit, yes and is a very important part of all of this. If you've ever looked into any like improv comedy stuff, one of the very first things you learn is that shutting people down and saying no, that sucks. God, I'm burping so much. Just shutting people down, saying no, that's not what we're doing. No, that's not what it is. No, that's stupid. That kills a scene. Like, it's so hard to build when you propose something like, so we're farmers during the Dust Bowl trying to harvest our radishes, and then somebody's like, no, that's not what we're doing. As the first person in that scene, you have no fucking idea what to do next. And so you're like, okay, you didn't like the radish thing, you didn't like the Great Depression thing, you didn't like the Dust Bowl thing. Where the fuck are we going now? And then the person that said no now has the entire burden of like rewriting everything you're doing. And they're that kind of person that's just like, no, that sucks. Usually isn't going to rewrite everything from scratch. Usually they're the kind of person that just says, no, that sucks, and they have nothing else to offer. And that's a tough way to build a scene. But if you're working with AI or working with a real person trying to improv a scene together through some back and forth, just building on whatever happens is the most constructive way to actually make a scene and actually maybe get something like a punchline, and just accepting whatever premise was given and then just continuing and going with that instead of being like, no, that's bad, no, do better, no, better. Like, that's... Nobody, human or AI, knows what to do with no, do better. You know, take what works and then say, okay, how do we direct this towards the best thing, like the best possibility with what was already suggested, what was already established. Okay. That's my Hootie comment. And now back to read the OpenAI to see if anything I'm saying makes sense. Daphne discovers a group of documents that link the local gang. Why can't I talk, chat? I have a mouth. I've been using it for a long time. Why can't I talk? Daphne discovers a group of documents that link the local gang to the animatronic shark. The documents include invoices for the materials used to create the illusion of a ghostly shark, as well as the receipts for the payment of the gang members who installed and operated the machine. She got receipts! She's got it fucking figured out. She's got the receipts! She found them on the parade grounds. I mean, on the aquarium grounds. For some reason, the gang left them around. She found it. She also finds a notebook containing notes about the accident that occurred years ago, as well as plans for using the illusion of a ghostly shark to scare people away from the aquarium. With this evidence, she is able to put an end to the scheme and bring justice to the boy's spirit. Bruh. Thanks. Your feedback helps improve our models. That doesn't sound that bad. That doesn't sound half fucking bad. So there's still holes to be filled if you're writing a real episode. But this is important. We took what it gave us, right? And we said, okay, what exactly does she find? What does she find that ties it to the local gang? What are some of the proverbial smoking guns? What is some of this evidence? And it finds documents. It's like, yeah, of course, documents. Fucking 96% documents. For the materials to use the ghostly shark, because the gang is sloppy as fuck and left their ghost shark receipts in the fucking aquarium somewhere where Daphne could find them and figure out what the fuck was going on. But you know, it's fiction, y'all. It's fiction. There's only 22 minutes. Some things are going to be unusually convenient when you only have fucking 22 minutes. to solve a mystery that's been plaguing a whole town. All right, I don't know what to ask next, so let's do an experiment. Let's do a kind of open-ended question experiment, and then maybe we'll kind of wrap this up so Mr. Hooty Hoo can go to sleep and you can all quit indulging me. What are some other details or important plot points necessary to really flesh out this story and fit this mystery into a 22-minute episode that Daphne could reasonably solve by herself. I mean, I guess that's the whole thing. Let's submit it and quit it and see what it did it. It's giving me some stuff. It's giving me a big ol' stuff. Big ol' stuff. To really flesh out this story, for the record, I've never asked the AI, like, okay, now fill in the gaps of everything that you've left. Before, normally all I do is be like, okay, give me a general premise. Okay, what does this scene look like? What does this scene look like? Okay, that's cool. I can kind of see that episode. I've never asked it fill in the gaps of what you've given me. So let's see. Let's see what it do. Let's see what it's Scooby Doo, bish. To really flesh out the story, Daphne must enlist the help of her friends. No! God damn it! Daphne alone! That was the only thing I wanted, was for her to prove herself as a mystery solver. God damn it, son of it. Velma! I love Velma, but she's not supposed to be in this story! Fuck! Okay. Let's see what it came up with. To really flesh out this story, Daphne must enlist the help of her friends to help her investigate the mystery. She could enlist Velma to help her analyze the documents and find clues to identify the criminals, while Fred and Shaggy could help her search for the evidence around the aquarium. Okay, both reasonable suggestions if I wanted those fucking characters in this, but I did not. So it's disagreeing with me a little, but that's okay. That's part of collaboration. It's just part of how it goes. Fred and Shaggy could help. Fuck Fred and Shaggy. Fred and Shaggy could help her search for evidence around the aquarium. Daphne could also enlist the help of a local resident who has knowledge of the accident that occurred years ago and can provide more insight into who might be behind the scheme. Okay, local aquarium enthusiast meets Daphne while she's like scoping out the aquarium. And this hot chick who will only be seen for like 10 whole minutes, she knows something about the aquarium. And it's important for Daphne. Okay, that's a reasonable story element. Daphne goes and asks around the people that live closest. She knocks on some doors, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we see shit all the time." That's fine enough. I don't hate that. Okay. Even though she's not supposed to ask for help, she asks a local resident. That's fine with me. That's standard, that's typical. If it's the genre, it makes sense. Who has knowledge of the accident that occurred years ago and can provide more insight into who might be behind the scheme. Finally, Daphne must use her own detective skills to put the pieces together and uncover the truth. There we go. There we go. It's about her. It's her quest. It's her challenge. It's her puzzle. With all of these elements, Daphne is able to solve the mystery and bring justice to the boy's spirit. Okay. You know, that's pretty good. I'm tempted to call it here, to call it the stream here, because I feel like I've rambled enough and I've given you enough to like have the very basis of how to deal with this. But I kind of want to push further. I don't know where to push further. I'm gonna look at chat real fast. Never thought about running improv on GPT. Thanks for the improv on GPT. Thanks for the inspiration. I'm not going to sleep for hours. Found a platform that barely allows me to upload a document and then communicate with a chatbot. It takes on the identity of the document. As long as it's under 200 pages, I think 35 megabytes. I have questions. Okay. That's just some like general AI stuff that interests me, but doesn't pertain to this exact stream. But shout outs to Hootie for sharing the knowledge. Shout outs to Hootie as much as they watched of this. All of my rambling. And we'll, oh my god, almost 3 hours. We'll try to spend the last 15 minutes trying to get something, something a little bit more useful from this. Let's do a big think. Try to figure out what we need. We're a professional writer. We're rebooting Scooby Doo. We're taking a different tact. Some of the characters get their own episodes. Shaggy gets an episode. Velma gets an episode. She got her own series. Apparently she fucked that up, even though I love Velma. Rip in peace, Velma. In this reboot series, Daphne has her own shark aquarium adventure. I feel like there's got to be more I need to know. What more do I need to know? Describe the local gang. What's the local gang like? What is this local gang like? Maybe they're... I'm just gonna use casual language. Maybe they're kind of shark themed. Maybe they're kind of octopus, hydra themed. And they really take pride in being a beachside gang that draws inspiration from the baddest from the baddest deep sea creatures that terrorize the globe. Please describe the local gang and some of its importante characters. Okay. It's about as much brain as my brain can do right now. So, we'll end it soon, but I want to know about the Oceanic 8. Oh my god, I'm already excited. Just like glancing over this. I'm already excited. Here we go. Let's fucking go. The local gang is known as the Oceanic 8. They are a beachside gang that draws inspiration from some of the most dangerous creatures of the deep sea. The gang is led by an ambitious and ruthless woman named Queen Octavia, who dreams of ruling the beachside town. Bro, this was good. This was a good fucking, like... Sometimes I feel so stupid where I'm like, AI, please, World build. I don't know. You got a pirate gang of pirates. They're scary. Why are they scary? Why are people scared of them? And it gives you some shit that makes fucking sense. That's so good. It's so amazing. That's so fucking magical. That's like the most magical part of all of this shit. Alright. The gang is led by an ambitious and ruthless woman named Queen Octavia, who dreams of ruling the beachside town. The members are Captain Cuttlefish, a wily and intelligent octopus who serves as Queen Octavia's right-hand man. Hammerhead! Oh my god, this is so 90s cartoon. I fucking love this. Hammerhead, a strong and intimidating shark who serves as the gang's muscle. Ely! Alright, none of these gang members are human, but they're all badass. Ely, a sly electric eel who is a master of disguise. Manta Ray, a tech-savvy manta ray who specializes in surveillance. Accidentally muted. I don't know how much I muted. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, let me let me backtrack a tiny bit because I don't know how much was cut off. The gang is led by an ambitious and ruthless woman named Queen Octavia, who dreams of ruling the beachside town. The members are Captain Cuttlefish, a wily and an intelligent octopus who serves as Queen Octavia's right-hand man. This guy has 4 right hands. 4 right hands. Best right-hand man of all time. Hammerhead, a strong and intimidating shark who serves as the gang's muscle. Ely, who... This is so wacky. This is so kids' cartoon. Ely, a sly electric eel who is a master of disguise. Manta Ray, a tech-savvy manta ray who specializes in surveillance. Anglerfish, a mysterious anglerfish with an eye for seeing through people's lies. Jellyfish, an unpredictable jellyfish who specializes in sabotage. Moray, a powerful, intimidating moray eel who serves as the gang's enforcer. And Squid Sid, a slippery squid who serves as the gang's spy. Holy shit, dude. We have a whole fucking, like, Illumination movie, Illumination Studios cast of the wild and wacky gang from this random fucking Daphne and the Shark, Scooby Doo Jaws bullshit prompt. That is so awesome. Like, it's stupid, it's cheesy, it's fucking dorky as hell. But that is fucking awesome that I was able to give it, like, such a minimal skeleton of an idea. And it came up with, like, 6 fucking characters. Captain Cuttlefish. No, wait. Let's count this. Let's finger fucking count this. Queen Octavia. Fuck, I can't even read at this point. Captain Cuttlefish. Hammerhead, Eel-E, Manta Ray, and Jellyfish, which is not really a name. It's just like, it's jellyfish. That's fucking 6 characters created with almost no goddamn input. And you could easily like revise and rename one of these characters, like Jellyfish. Like, of course, I'm gonna rename Jellyfish if I'm planning on publishing this thing, and Anglerfish. But that's a start. That's a fucking skeleton. Like, if I worked at Hanna-Barbera and somebody gave me only this document, I feel like, I mean, I don't work there, I don't know, but I would feel like 70 to 80% of my job is fucking done. This is amazing. This is so amazing. You can have such little of a fucking skeleton of an idea, and it can come up with 6 or 7 characters to fill out that fucking idea. That is so cool. That is so fucking cool. And it's just based on like statistical analysis of a whole bunch of writing, where it's like, okay, if this word is probably here, this word too is probably here. And like, specifically, if these words are here, then this is probably the next word that comes after it. And it's like such simple fucking programming ideas, and you get fucking Captain Cuttlefish out of it. How do you program that? Like, that's so cool to me. Queen Octavia, Captain Cuttlefish, Hammerhead, Ely, which might be one of the worst names for a character I've ever heard. But it's of, like, you have a cuttlefish, you have a squid, you have an eel, you have a manta ray. Those are coherent ideas. If you're animating some shit, it's like, yeah, those are the those are completely different forms. They move differently. I mean, I can come up with different puns for their names, but like, fucking squid, cuttlefish, eel, manta ray, that's good shit. That's good, useful shit. I mean, I don't want to like overhype this, but like, this is part of what excites me so much about this, is that you can have the bare fucking bones of an idea, and it's like, well, this shit probably comes next, and you're like, yeah! Like, that's what I would have come up with given another week or two to kind of fucking flesh this shit out. Yeah, cuttlefish and hammerhead. I had no fucking conception of of cuttlefish and hammerhead when we started this shit. That's original content. That's a new idea that I have a new direction to go in. So I know I'm probably too hyped about that shit, but like, that's the kind of stuff that really excites me. Like, you put in a couple hours of effort into like thinking up your universe, your prompt, your feels, your vibe, and then it comes up with like 6 characters that you would have not thought up today. Right? Like, maybe you would have thought of cuttlefish and hammerhead. I don't, you know, for me, I would not have come up with that shit today. But if I'm making this episode, that shit's going in. Cuttlefish are weird. Hammerheads are weird. Squid, fucking like, all of these are good ideas. And I guess that's, you know, as I start to draw this down, because I'm probably not going to finish this episode. I guess quickly, I will ask for like something of a conclusion, so this has some kind of closure. But if nothing else, I hope people get this from this. They get this lesson from this video, which is that you can be one of those people that thinks like, yeah, sometimes I have like the idea of like the start of something, but I don't really know what to do with it. Like, I don't know how to make that into a script. AI can get you so much closer to that real script point. It's like, yeah, there's this wacky gang of something, and it's like, it's all fish. It's all weird sea creatures. And you're like, yes! Yes, that's the kind of shit I wanted! That's what is so fucking cool about this technology. even if you still have to do a lot of work and a lot of thought, that it can kind of meet you halfway and like you give your all, and then it gives you like another day and a half or like another week's worth of fucking concepts, you know, like characters and shit. That to me is one of the coolest fucking things about this. Even if I was writing a Scooby Doo episode as a job and I didn't use one, you know, quote from any of this, obviously I am so much farther right now than I was when I started with Daphne Ghost Shark aquarium thing. And I have fucking Queen Octavia, Captain Cuttlefish, Hammerhead, all of this shit. There's no way I would have gotten to that shit today based on what I started with without AI. And that is one of the coolest fucking things to me. I can see my cat once out of my room. So let me ask for one more thing. Let me just say sort of what's on my mind. Okay. This is all really cool. This is a lot. There's a lot to work with for my story and script, a lot of good characters. Are there any final ideas and... oh no. And maybe clues or major plot points that will help me tie this all together into a full Scooby Doo episode. And then, as you can see right here, a quick aside I should have mentioned earlier, if your maximum length is too long, it'll tell you lower it down to this. So this is saying lower it down to 4001. So I only need, you can kind of like eyeball it. 2,300, that should be enough. And I'm asking you, any final ideas, clues, major plot points, help me tie this all together into a final Scooby-Doo episode. Any last comments or notes? Hopefully that's good enough. And then let's give it all the space we can give it. About that. Let's see what it gives us. Let's see what they do. Let me let my cat out. All right, and I will read it out loud, and then I'll let y'all go. I'll let Hootie go. Is Hootie still here? Hold on. Let me give mad shout outs to Hootie. If Hootie is still here. Perfect for a cartoon. Can't be the worst if you remember the concept and delivery of Street Sharks. Yeah, some 90s cartoons were pretty thin on their initial concept and still managed to make something work. All right, let's read and wrap up. To tie this all together, Daphne will need to use her detective skills to uncover the truth behind the ghostly shark. She will need to uncover clues that link the gang to the animatronic shark, as well as evidence of the accident that occurred years ago. Oh yeah, it's like big on this like kid died at the aquarium, and I didn't really care. I was just like, yeah, kids die at shit. And if I was a good writer, I might have played that part up a little bit more. But to me, it was just like, yeah, kids die. Which is fucked up. But ChatGPT is thankfully a little bit more human than your average writer. So, she will need to uncover clues that link the gang to the animatronic shark, as well as evidence of the accident that occurred years ago. Which I'm going to blame on the aquarium, not the gang, but let's continue. With the help of her friends! Chat. GPT. Why? Why, GPT? Why do you do this to me? Daphne alone. Daphne alone did this one. Just once. Just for once, let me have a Daphne solo mystery solving. With the help of her friends, she may also be able to uncover some of the gang's secrets. That's the criminal gang. And discover why the gang was trying to scare people away from the aquarium. We still never really solved that. I'm guessing, like, the gang just didn't want other people around their hangout, which was the aquarium. And so if you're the gang and you're like, this building is ours, no one else lives here, we'll scare away anybody else that comes by, like, that's enough. But okay, Daphne didn't really figure it out by herself. Maybe there's a deeper cause, we don't know it yet. With the help of her friends, she may also uncover some of the gang's secrets and discover why the gang was trying to scare people away from the aquarium. Finally, Daphne will need to use her wits and courage to confront the gang and put an end to their scheme. Oh shit, now I want to know. Now I want to know. I thought that was the end. It's not the end. We gotta type some more and then lower our maximum length. What happens when Daphne finally confronts the Ghost Shark Gang? Maybe that's their name, I don't know. I guess I'm deciding now at this late hour. We gotta animate it in 15 minutes. It's gotta go on air. We have no time to decide. So we're just gonna capitalize some shit. Ghost Shark Gang, that's the name of the gang. Submit, GPT, save us. That wasn't a very long response. When Daphne finally confronts the Ghost Shark Gang, they are shocked that she was able to uncover their scheme. Queen Octavia of the Ghost Shark Gang tries to intimidate her, but Daphne is not afraid and stands her ground. With the help of her friends, Daphne is able to keep the gang at bay long enough for the authorities to arrive and arrest them. In the end, justice is served. And the boy's spirit is finally able to find peace. I totally forgot about the boy. I did not give a single fuck about the boy's spirit. But it was finally able to find peace. Yes. Okay. I've never worked in animation. I've never animated a 22-minute Scooby Doo episode. But if it was on me to come up with the plan for the whole team of what the next episode was going to be and what kind of things we were going to animate, I feel like this couple of hours was pretty productive. I put in as little thought as possible. And we got more or less a full Scooby Doo outline. I mean, it's still missing some visual gags. So you know what? Let's go one step. Let's go one step further. If I'm really thinking I have to animate this shit myself, what are we fucking doing? Let me ask one more question. What are some visual gags and interesting spectacles for this derelict aquarium Those are some hard to spell words when you're a little bit drunk. That's not right. For this, what are some visual gags and interesting spectacles for this derelict aquarium? We can also include with Daph. Oh my god, please fingers. With Daphne's solo adventure here in this. Wow, that looks fucked up. Adventure here in this creepy setting. What are some visual gags and interesting spectacles for this derelict aquarium? We can also include with Daphne's solo adventure here in this creepy setting. And then let's get as many characters. As many examples as you can think of, please. And let's go. Let's see what they do. What is Scooby Doo Doo, beesh? Lots of ideas. Okay. Many examples prompt seem to be paying dividends. Daphne trips over a pile of old fishing nets and nets that had been discarded inside the aquarium. Okay. That's a reasonable, decent moment. Daphne discovers an old diving suit, classic, from the time of the accident and discovers a clue hidden inside it. Ooh, the kid, like, that doesn't quite make sense, but like somebody wrote a note about the kid drowning and they left it in the diving suit. That was the diving suit that like failed to help the kid in time. Okay. That's an interesting idea. Not totally practical, but pretty interesting. Daphne finds an old submarine which had been used by the gang to transport the animatronic shark. Shit! A fucking, like, gang-tagged up submarine would definitely help bridge the gap between this place and this random local gang. Okay, nice. Maybe not the idea I'd go with ultimately, but not the worst idea. An interesting idea. Good starting point. Daphne finds a secret room. I'm all about secret rooms. I love me some fucking secret rooms. Daphne finds a secret room in the back of the aquarium, which is filled with strange and mysterious objects. That's got to be in my episode. If I'm writing a Scooby Doo, fucking secret room full of weird shit is definitely a good like minute and a half of that episode. As Daphne follows the ghostly shark, she has to dodge and weave around old aquarium tanks filled with murky water. Okay, like, kind of a decent suggestion. When I first suggested this idea to the Watch Me Forever chatbot by Mish AI, it had a similar idea where, like, actually its idea was that the ghost shark was kind of like haunting this beachside community, and Daphne had to like dive into the seawater to see what was going on. And there she somehow discovered that some kind of like parasite or something was living in the water, and that was driving the sharks crazy and making them attack people, and that this parasite was really the core of all of these like demon shark, possessed shark rumors. And so it's like a very like Resident Evil 4 kind of thing, but it was still pretty good. It was still an interesting idea. Somebody in chat asked the bot what Zelda game is the best game, and that reset the bot before I could finish my Scooby Doo Daphne story. So that's part of the struggle of trying to improv a whole story with a publicly available bot where chat can just like fuck up the bot at any moment. But that was the other version of this story, the alternate universe version of the story. So, yeah, that's related to this one. As Daphne follows the ghostly shark, she has to dodge and weave around old aquarium tanks filled with murky water. In this chat version of this story, Daphne went and had to like dodge around these open sea sharks while she was investigating, and then that is and then I was trying to figure out how does she escape, and then ChatGPT was like kind of losing its mind and was like, she has this flashback to where she was picking winners in, and then it cut off, and then I tried to respond like, picking winners in shark races as a kid, and this memory helped her escape the sharks, but I didn't even get that far because somebody asked about Zelda and reset the bot, and I never got an answer. But yeah, somebody in the water trying to swim away from sharks, that's a good scene. Whatever you're doing with sharks, whether it's animated, whether it's CG, whether it's real life, person stuck with sharks trying to get out of the shark water, always worth including. Always a good scene. And the very last, as the gang members are arrested, they try to make a last-ditch escape by swimming away through the aquarium tanks. Oh, shit. That's not a bad idea either. Where they, like, dive into this ghost shark tank, and then the cops are like, oh, shit, we lost him. But Daphne is like, no, we're catching these motherfuckers. I solved this shit. It's them. They're not getting away, goddammit. And she's the one that fucking hauls ass after them. I fucking like that. And then she's the one who finally apprehends them and ties them up or gets them caught in a shark net or some kind of shit, and then unmasks them as the true villains behind all of this. That is my ideal ending to this crazy fucking story about Scooby-Doo and ghost sharks and shit. Like, my computer is, like, dying at this point. You can see, like, it can barely load this shit. It's just text! It's just text, and it's too much text to handle. So I guess I will call it there. This has been a very long stream. Let me see how long. It has been, oh my god, it's been over 3 hours. Thank you. Thank you to anyone who has watched this. Thank you to anyone who feels like they have learned anything from my screwing around with all of this AI stuff. It has been longer than the Titanic. It has been longer than the movie Titanic, but that is all the information I can distill from the past couple months with 3 beers in my system. So, thank you, Mr. Hootie Hoo, for being my audience. Thank you, everyone on YouTube, eventually, who watches this. Thank you, everybody in the Watch Me Forever chat and the Watch Me Forever stream who has helped me figure out all of this shit and experiment around with all of this and all of that. So, yeah. Hopefully you have some ideas about how to approach this stuff and how to structure longer works, and also how to set up kind of a shorter improv work and get something useful out of it whether you understand AI or not, whether you really understand storytelling and all of its theory in depth or not, hopefully this helps you come up with your own shit. So thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone who made this possible, everyone who watched. Love you all. Bye bye. Now go make your own shit!